Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have a look at the VK.45.02B. B stands for bouncy, because that is what this tank is. This tank is probably one of the better armored tanks in tier 9 when it comes to things like side scraping, side armor, and front plate. And the whole thing, the whole tank, when played correctly, is actually a very, very good tank. But you got to play it. You got to play it properly. Now, when I first played this tank, I loved it, but over the years, it's kind of sort of fell down the pecking order. But Wargaming buffed it recently. I think they gave it more side armor, and now again it has restored the tank. So we're going to have a look at the armor, but we're just going to go and look through the stats on Blitzhanger while we are here. So the DPM 2261, not the best DPM, but it is kind of like a super heavy tank. It's not made for DPM. So the penetration 246, 311 on your APCR and 65 on your HE. So the 311 is not bad. It does the job. And of course, if you want to run the calibrated shells, you can get that up to 327. But honestly, I don't run it with calibrated shells. I run it with just the rammer. I think that's enough. I mean, 311 will get through most things. So especially when you're upper tier. Penetration, so we've gone through that. The damage, it has a 460 alpha gun, which is kind of cool. Shell velocity there is 920. It is a 128 caliber gun. Rate of fire 4.91, and the reload time is 12.2. So the aim time 2.63, not too bad for the aim time, to be honest. The aim time is all right, and the dispersion 0.344. So for a heavy like that, it's not the best, but it's also not the worst. And the gun depression has 5 degrees, 5.56 degrees of gun depression. So again, not too bad. And the speed is 30 kilometers per hour and 15 in reverse. So overall, stats wise, it's not too bad. But where this tank really shines is the armor profile. Now, so you can see, here we go, here's the armor profile. So you can see, looking straight at the tank is 304 millimeters on your upper plate, 291 on your lower plate. Of course, the more you angle, the lower plate does become weaker, but of course the upper plate becomes more thicker, and the effective armor is much more, and you're more likely to bounce. So frontally, the armor profile is actually very good, especially when you're coming up against tier 8s. Tier 10s, of course, are going to be able to penetrate you, but it's still going to be a little bit difficult. But where this is, you can see the yellow side armor, but if you're angling your tank effectively, you've only got 120 millimeters on your side armor, but effectively, if you are side scraping, look at that, it goes up to 404. If you side scrape even more, you've got like 800, 700, and that's absolutely incredible. Of course, the turret is quite bouncy as well. So yeah, even though you look at the armor profile, you're going to think, oh, that's not great, it's all yellow. Of course, it's yellow when you're looking at it like this, and it's easy to pen. But when you're angling, when you're side scraping, that becomes an almost impossible penetration. Of course, it does have the hatch on top as well, which is quite weak, so you do have to bear that in mind. It is on the right side there, so if you go over this side, side scraping behind a wall, sort of to this side to hide the hatch. But yeah, this tank is all about side scraping, and you will get bounces, trust me. So we're going to have watch a couple of games in this tank just to see how this tank can actually perform in battle. One game from myself, and I've got one game from a subscriber who has sent me a very good replay. Gets kind of lucky at the end, but nevertheless, it's a great game. So where are we? So we're going to watch Dead Rail. Now, this, I actually have a pretty decent game, but look out for the enemy T100. He has a fantastic game, but he gets lucky because our team is just yeah, they're not the best of team. So here, of course, I don't have the gun depression, and it is a rear mounted turret. So to get that gun depression, of course, you've got to sort of come up sideways to get your gun over the edge. So I don't really want to push the middle here because of the ridge and the gun depression. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push more to the left side, to the left, more towards base B, and sort of that way I've got buildings here that I can side scrape from if I really need to. And straight up, we're going to come up against this really funny IS-8, and he gets absolutely pissed off. So now he bounces the first shot. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to angle against this guy, and it's already, for him, it's a very difficult pen. And again, the second shot, he bounces, and he's going to get pissed off. He's going to get really pissed off. Die, fuck bot. I mean, you're the one bouncing me, mate, and you call me a bot. It's kind of funny. And again, we get the third bounce from him. So already, just from this guy, die, he sets for the IS-8. He kind of gives up here. He's just like, do you know what? I am not dealing with you. Go away. I don't want to deal with you. So, of course, we're going to get behind him. We're going to get a nice 5.75 high roll. And now we've opened up all the other tanks pretty much on the right side. Fuck lucky morons. Yeah, you're just bad. And you can see at the angling we're at, we are able to get bounces, and this is the kind of angles that you want to be. Of course, you want to hide the front plate, the upper plate, the lower plate from these big guns, especially when you're sort of looking down on them, because they will be able to hit your lower plate. But you know, there again with 2,900 damage blocked. We've just blocked the ST, and we've just blocked the FV215B. So even though I'm now moving, I know I'm getting the bounces, but we're not really doing anything there. We are getting the bases. Of course, we've got the bases, and we are now 5 versus 5. But I just wanted to push up a little bit more. But I realized the ST is in a position I really can't do anything. The VK is in a position I really can't do anything. So then the T100 behind he's roaming that side of the map all on his own. And you're going to see the damage he actually causes. So fair play to him. And of course, he plays really well, and he does get lucky though. So I need to do something. But I don't want to push, because once I'm in the open, that's where I become more vulnerable. So 65 HE damage done there. So I was looking at sort of pushing this guy, obviously, because I know he's that side of the map on his own. He's the most dangerous target, because these guys and my team are not moving. I mean, the heavies can't push because of the Death Star. So we really need to kill the Death Star. He's the biggest threat at the moment. Of course, the T100 is a big threat as well, but 2,900 damage blocked already. We're still gonna have a little bit more damage. There we go, another 360 blocked, and we do manage to clear the Death Star. And now we've managed to clear that Death Star. I was gonna push forward, but then I thought, you know what, the standard B, I don't know what he's doing. There's many bots in this team. Of course, I want to go for him, but I do get shot there from that ST. I just over angled there, which is unfortunate for me, and a little mistake there, to be honest, because I knew he was looking at me. So now I wanted to come and help this this Death Star, but as soon as I get there, the T100 does take him out, and we only managed to get a track shot. It's a 4 versus 3. We are winning on tanks, and we're winning massively on supremacy points, because we have now caught base A. Now, I'm not sure why all my guys just don't freaking push. They need to push this VK. If they push together, it would be a different outcome. Now, I don't want to push this T100 because he has 3,500 DPM. He's nearly full hit points. I've only got 1,100 hit points, so I want to ignore him and go for these heavy tanks to try to keep my tanks alive. So I'm getting behind this guy. So of course, there goes our big gun. There goes the Jaegeru. I know the VK has just shot, so I am able to get behind him, get a shot in. And again, I don't know why my guys, I know they're pushing now, but they should have pushed a long time ago. We're almost on 800 supremacy points. So even as a 3 versus 3, I'm already thinking, you know, I've won. I've got an ST behind me shooting HE. So he's not a problem. So I am going to see if I can get the shot, but then I notice the T100 behind. Of course, now I want to ignore the ST because he's only shooting HE, not really bothered by him, and I want to clear this this T100, but at the moment he is making it very difficult. Now I'm just going to back up because I know the ST is behind, and I do manage to get a nice high roll there. So it's now a 2 versus 1. I'm a 2 shot. I need to start getting bounces here, but I'm not bouncing. I haven't been in a position where I can bounce this T100. I've been in the open, and this is what I mean, getting in those positions to get bounces. If you're in the open, you're not going to get any bounces, hardly any bounces, especially when you're in a tier 10 game. So this IS-4, again, like, I'm so disappointed with this IS-4. I'm frustrated, and now the IS-4 just stay with me. Just stay with me. Save my life. But no, he doesn't. But well played. The T100 there spotted that. And he now is just going to run... He's just going to run riot. And there's nothing this... Well, there is something this IS-4 can do. But he's not the best of players. And of course, when you've got a light tank like the T100 circling you, tracking you, there really isn't much you can do. And it's very disappointing knowing that we're still getting base B. We're on 960 supremacy points, but not enough. So we do manage to block 3,200 damage there. We get almost 5k damage. And of course that was only enough, even though I caught the base, that was only enough for a second class, believe it or not. Even though we've destroyed 4 tanks, we got 3,200 block damage, that just wasn't enough. And if you see the end result here, fair play to that T100. I haven't had a game where someone gets 7k in my game for years, literally for years. And of course he does get a well-deserved ace. So that's at the beginning of that is how you should play this tank. You know, find yourself a building and just side scrape from it, because this is one of the best tanks in the game for side scraping. I know you've got tanks like the IS-4 and sort of heavy tanks like that, but this is equally as good. And when you're up against tier 8s, it is so good, because they just struggle to pen you, and they struggle to pen your front plate and lower plate as well, because your armor profile is really, really good. But as soon as you start turning, as soon as you start over angling, then that is where this tank becomes very, very weak, because it's not the quickest of tanks, and it's not the best DPMs. It's quite low DPM. So our guys here, you can see he gets penned, and he's now just backing up. There's a lot of tanks around, and of course it's now a 4 versus 7. A 4 versus 7 already, a minute and a half gone. But of course, when tanks are trying to shoot you frontally like that, they're not going to have too much fun in doing that. So nice shot there into the T54. He is now a one shot. The Jag Tiger is up there. He's also a one shot. So there is a couple of one shots, but it's still a 7 versus 4. 7 versus 4, which no way should end in a win for our team here. And again, you see it there. He was getting penned from the side. Change weapons, noob. Okay, whatever you mean there. But as soon as he started angling to this guy, he gets the bounces. And that is how you have to play this tank. This is the best way to play the tank, and pretty much the only way to play this tank. Hopefully he clears almost the Jag Tiger there. Unfortunately does get a miss, and he's just backing up against the building and using it for cover. And he's going to hopefully, he could side scrape from this guy. But of course, he needs to pay attention to the T54 as well. Again, as soon as he turns his tank, he gets shot and he gets penned, because he's not angling as he should. But as soon as he faced the target, again, he gets more bounces. So already he's now bounced 1,000 damage. He has lost a little bit of hit points as well, but now here comes the cleanup. There is a couple of one shots here, and again, he gets a lucky bounce there from the side. But again, just like my game, that guy on the enemy team, the T34-2, I don't know what he's doing. I've got no idea what he's doing. So right now, 2,000 damage, 1,400 block damage, and it's him and a platoon mate in E75, one of the best heavies in tier 9 against 4 tanks. And there is still a lot of hit points to go. I mean, there's almost 4 tanks with full hit points. Well, 3 tanks with full hit points until he took that shot. So now he's actually leaving his platoon mate. I probably wouldn't leave him. I would stick with him, but he's going to try and keep these heavies here away from his platoon mate. And again, the VK here takes care of one tank, and he's now getting close to this VK. And again, if you're not face hugging or if you're not side scraping, you will get penetrated in this thing. Now the T34 behind, I mean, again, I don't know what he's doing. He could end the game right here, because of course he doesn't want to know this T34, because he wants to clear the VK.45.02. He's the most dangerous target, and of course he's less HP. But again, look at these angles that he's trying to get himself at. Unfortunately, it's not quite working for him at the moment. And now, because he knows the VK is on a reload, he's going to angle to this T34-2, and when you're angling, that's when you start getting the bounces. So it's now a 2 versus 3. This VK is a one shot. He needs to clear this guy before the T32 can get behind, and it was now a 1 versus 3. So a 1 versus 3, he's a 2 shot. Now this T34 could rush into him. I mean, trying to shoot this tank from the distance he's at, or the position he's at, is not the greatest, because it's not the best of tanks, that T34-2. And again, He's now up to 3,200 blocked damage and 4,500 damage. Now, the object is now a one-shot, but this T-34-2 is still a full hit point. So he was full hit points until he's just received that nasty shot. And again, I love what he's doing here. He's not going into any of these tanks. He's just backing up, creating some distance and keeping them both in front of him. So he's now blocked the shot from the object. So now he can sort of aim at the, look at his tank, what he's doing. He's trying to look at the T-34, but go for the object because he's the one shot. And he's just backed up. He's backed up pretty much all around this corner so he can angle these tanks. And it's working for him. And this is what I mean. It can work. But he's now a one shot against two tanks. Surely this can't end well because one's coming behind. So fair play to the object. He's doing the right thing. He's getting behind whilst the T-34-2 is in front. But so, of course, he can only look in one direction. No idea why this guy, he could have just ended it right there, but he decided he wanted to shoot HE. Again, just an AP round into the side. Doesn't matter what your penetration is, you're going to penetrate this. But he really wants to deal with this. And again, he gets another bounce. So 4,600 block damage now. He's on 5 kills. And again, another HE shot from this T-34-2. He's now only on 3 HP. 3 HP. And unless he gets a high roll here, which I don't think he will, it's going to be game over. Now, this T-34-2 just has to get behind him. He just has to get behind him, but he manages to angle in time, blocks another HE, and he gets that shot. What is this T-34-2 doing? I have no idea. But even with 3 HP, he can still ram a medium tank and get away with it. So 5,100 block damage. On top of that, he gets just over 6,600 damage. And he gets 9 shots there. That's non-penetrated. And he kills 6 tanks. So again, no idea what some of them tanks were doing, especially the T-34-2. What was he doing? No idea. He ruined it for the enemy team. He should have won a long time ago. But I still wanted to show that game because it just showcases how good this armor profile can be when you are angling your tank. So definitely it's a tank worth grinding. And I think with Wargaming buffing it, they have restored it. And it is now also, like it used to be, a fantastic tank. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I'm meadsy69, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye bye.